All right, here's a nice one, 16.75 acres. This happens to be tract 3, but 16.75 acres. That's the driveway going up to the very cool building site, kind of on the knoll on the south side of the property. This is at the White Ranch project, so northern Fulton County, Arkansas. You're going to see some beautiful timber on this tract, including big mature pine trees. We're parked on the easement road, which borders the south side of the property. Right now we're looking westerly, so the property's on the right. So this tract has about 340 feet of direct frontage on that easement road and goes essentially straight back to the north. It's rectangular in shape. As we look to the east, of course, the property's on the left. It looks like it was really cloudy when this video was taken, so it's a little bit of a bummer, but we're still going to get a good look at this property. Extremely private out here. It does, as we mentioned, have the little driveway which leads into the property. It goes up a hill and kind of, they did a small cleared site on a level area, but it is beyond the setback distance, so you can use that for camping or potentially building if you wanted to. But I mean, you would have dozens of potential building sites on this property. It's a big tract. You can already see some monster pine trees there. We're going to do a full flyover. This has some really nice bonuses in addition to the mature timber, the privacy. It does have a power line on site, so that's available if you ever need it. And it does have a little creek bed which crosses over about the middle of the property. We're pretty sure it's a wet weather creek bed, although it was flowing the day this video was taken. So there you can see the clearing. The guys just kind of, before this video was done, a week or two, they got a mulcher in there and kind of mulched and cleaned it up. I'm sure they threw down some grass seed, so probably by the spring that's going to have started to grow up with some nice green grass. Private site surrounded by timber. The site and the driveway, I mean, basically they've been roughed in. We drove up there with a pickup and drove around and came back. But I mean, you want to use a little caution. Sometimes the mulcher leaves little nubs that can be hard on the sidewalls of your tires if you're not careful. So no recent logging out here on this property. The only trees that you see down will be from, of course, improving the easement road and then doing the driveway and the site. So we're looking south. Potential for just an amazing view from this tract. And you've got to see the topo map on the listing page, but the topography is so cool. This little private knoll is right there toward the south side of the property. And depending on how much you wanted to open it up, you could have just an amazing view from that knoll. And actually, where the site is, the knoll rises up a little more even beyond that, and then there's a large level area there. So you could have a really good sized site on the top of that knoll if you wanted to do so. Otherwise, you can go north from there. It slopes down. You've got that creek bed running essentially through the center, and then once you go north from the creek bed, it rises back up, but it seems to rise very gradually. We'll take a look at the drone video, but the topo map indicated a gradual rise. You can see some monster rocks on the north side of the clearing. Those guys kind of found those and stacked them there. Pretty cool. Gorgeous property. So many deer out here. Just about every morning the guys were out here, they saw deer. Especially if the guys weren't making too much noise, they would always see deer. You've got a mixture of hardwood trees, red oak, white oak, hickory trees, and big pine trees here, which is really pretty cool to see. So we're flying over the level part of that knoll as we go northerly. So you can see there's a large level area up there. Some big pines off to the right. That's great. Those would make a gorgeous log cabin. And after the property's been paid for in full, you could actually log it and use the timber for that, or a timber frame home, or quite a few things. There is some timber value here. So now it's sloping down as we got past the knoll. We're heading straight north over about the middle of the property. At some point, we're going to cross over that creek bed. We might be able to see it from the air. It's pretty tough on a heavily wooded property to see a little stream or a creek, but it's down there somewhere. And again, We don't know that that flows year-round. It's probably safe to assume it doesn't, but it was flowing when we were out there. We're trying to find it with the drone. It's down there somewhere. It's tricky with the drone sometimes because if you start to go too low, the screen on the controller just blacks out. And then you just have to press up on the joysticks, bring it up in the air, try to get some altitude and get your signal back, and hope that it's not too far gone. Okay, so we're beyond the creek bed, and you can see now the land is rising up just very gradually. And there's the power line, so residential power line toward the north side of the property, but it does cross directly over it. So you literally have power on the property. You don't have to mess around with getting it brought to the property or securing easements or anything. It's already in place. There is a utility easement that runs with the easement road on the south side of the property. But in this case, you already have power on your property, so you, depending on where you wanted to build or get the power, you might not have to do much at all. In fact, if you created a trail back to the north toward the power line, it's usually a minimal cost for the power company to come and put a meter and a transformer on an existing pole. Oftentimes it's just a deposit of a couple $100. We haven't worked with this power company, but I mean, that's generally been the case. When it gets expensive is when they have to start planting new poles, doing all that stuff. But in this case, I mean, you've got the power line, including a pole, directly on your property. So big bonus. Okay, so flying back southerly. If you look at the tree cover, the darker trees, generally the trees that are a couple shades darker, are going to be the pine trees. It would be fun to see a wintertime drone video of this actually, because then those pine trees would jump right out at you. So moving south, we'll be coming up. I think we're on the back side of the knoll. Looks like the land is rising up. Look at those big pines off to the left. Great to see that. If you've ever actually priced log cabin logs, finished and delivered to your site, then you know what the value is of having tall, mature pine trees already on site. Prepped and delivered log cabin logs could run you, I mean, $40,000 to $60,000 without too much, without doing any kind of monster cabin. I mean, those things are very expensive to prep and deliver. So in this case, not only are they already on site, but they're getting larger as the months and years go by. So the longer you wait to build your cabin, the more impressive it will be. Okay, looking back down at the recently cleared site. So it's essentially got a layer of mulch down on the bottom because the guys did mulch the existing. I think the bigger trees they removed with an excavator. You can see the piled trees off to the side, and then they mulched the rest. Gorgeous tract. I mean, this is awesome. Someone is really gonna have a lot of fun out here. Investment potential, obviously, in the Ozarks is phenomenal. Eventually, you know, people are gonna, the cat will be out of the bag on the Ozarks, and the land prices will match up with all the surrounding states. But right now, it's a great time to get in while stuff is still undervalued. So if you have any questions, let us know. We would definitely love to hear from you.